And then we go on to 1808. Now, John Dalton is, he was the one who proposed his atomic theory, which is called the Dalton's atomic theory. And what guided him to make this theory was that the laws of chemical combinations and observations from the chemical reactions. So he looked at chemical reactions, he observed what was happening, and then based on that observation, he created this theory called the Dalton atomic theory.
I have a doubt, like for example, you said Dalton got it from chemical reactions.
Correct.
I don't know, where did Canada get it from? And
he just had a thought, they were just thinking in the air, people.
Theories can sometimes form up from beliefs or something.
Yes, from beliefs. For example, initially people used to think that the earth is the center of the universe and the sun revolves around the earth, right?
That was generally, but then Galileo, I guess, he proved it wrong. Like first it was Nicholas Copernicus who raised up with the theory, and Galileo proved that was wrong.
Okay, this is not a GK class. Let's come back. You can have this discussion in the chat room. Like in the chat, I don't have a problem with that. But let's focus on the subject right now, okay?
And also all these people, they were actually taught as crazy people who didn't have a mind and stuff. Like they thought they were stupid and they were crazy and they were absurd, like the views and theories. Even inventors also, for example. Like inventors and people who do experiments, they thought of them as stupid, and then they thought of them as why do we need to know all of this stuff? Why do we need to do experiments and all? Like what do people need to do?
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I mean you from history you can tell that nothing is stupid. It's fine if you have an idea, put it out there. No question is stupid, no idea is stupid. That's the way we go, okay? All right, so now let's look at what Dalton said. So Dalton said atoms come together to form matter. Okay, atom cannot be broken down further. He said the atom cannot be created or destroyed, and they can only be converted from, they cannot be converted to another element either. It cannot be created or destroyed, and they cannot be converted to another element. Similar to what he said, Democritus, right? So far it's similar. Next, he said atoms of similar and dissimilar elements. All the atoms of an element are identical in all respects. For example, atoms of two oxygen atoms. Two oxygen atoms will have the same number of neutrons, they'll have the same number of protons, they'll have the same number of electrons. If this is an oxygen atom, this is an oxygen atom, they will be identical in all respects. That's what he's saying. Atoms of different elements are different and have different mass, size, and properties. So atoms of different elements, they'll have different properties, they'll be physically different, and they'll have different chemical properties as well. Then combination of atoms. Atoms of different elements combine in a simple whole number ratio to form compound atoms. So he said compound atoms is basically molecules, okay? So he said atoms of different elements combine in a simple whole number ratio, which means what? You're not going to have fractions of atoms, right? We know that atom cannot be broken down further, so you cannot have a fraction of an atom. So whole number ratios of the atoms will come together, combine, and they form molecules. Okay, for example, H2O is water molecule. So you have two atoms of hydrogen and one atom of oxygen, and they combine together to form water. So role of atom in a chemical reaction. The smallest particle of matter that takes part is an atom. In a chemical reaction, that is the smallest particle that takes part in the chemical reaction. All right, so now let us see how valid is Dalton's atomic theory. Okay, and how did we later on? So Dalton proposed his theory. Can somebody tell me what a theory is?
Theory is basically we don't have the proof of it actually, you don't have any evidence that it is true, but it is just still thought and an idea that maybe it could be this way, and it's not proven.
Well, theories can be calculated, and it can be a calculated guess. That can also be a theory, because
that can also that's also true.
Yeah,
but they don't have any evidence backing them up. Like, for example, they could get it from any sources, like Dalton. He saw chemical reactions and he got it from there. But you don't have any proper evidence to prove it there.
That's why it's called a calculated theory, Kavya. You do have some evidence and some calculations that might back up your theory, so it's called a calculated theory. And you just you just guess about a hypothesis. A theory and a hypothesis are different, because a hypothesis doesn't have anything backed up, it's just a guess. But theories can be calculated.
Okay, so then what is a theory then, Arjun?
Well, theories can be two things. Theories can be just a random guess, because Newton, taking the quoting Naisha, if that's your name, I'm sorry if I pronounced it wrong. Newton saw an apple falling and he thought there has to be something that's pulling down everyone. That can be one type of theory, so it's a guess. And there's another type of theory where, let's say, forgot the person's name. Someone guessed that the atom doesn't have an end, but then his predecessor, he thought that if atoms don't have an end, atoms would keep blowing. So he conducted an experiment. So his theory was that if atoms didn't have any end, then they would keep blowing theoretically, because he's calculating from his predecessor that it would blow up. So he just did another experiment and concluded that no, atoms don't work like that.
Okay, did everybody understand
that kind of won't be called a theory then, because you have proven, like you have evidence of it there, so that won't exactly be like proven or called a theory then, I feel.
Kavya, he theorized that his predecessor's theory is incorrect.
Okay, so
yeah, that's a theory. Yeah, that's a theory.
That is a theory.
If he gets evidence of that, if he gets evidence that he's right, then that won't exactly be a theory. That will be that he was right. He wasn't. Like, theory is.
I'm not gonna argue. Just continue. There's no point arguing.
Okay.
Continue with the class.
Okay. Arjun, first of all, this is not an argument.
And also, ma'am, I have a...
That's why I said no point arguing.
Ma'am, I made up of this theory while the class was going on. I practically think that, like the whole structure of an atom, like if you go outside of it, I think it's more of like a square instead of a circle. It could be that. Like the protons.
Actually, you might not be wrong, because a Planck cell is rectangular, so an atom can be rectangular.
Yeah, or maybe there can be different stuff.
So
like rectangular objects, they can be rectangular atoms. And then for circular objects, they can be circular atoms. Maybe like that.
Okay, guys.
Interesting. Sorry to interrupt, but I think we should let teacher.
Yeah, we should let ma'am speak.
Okay, so here's the thing. A theory can have evidence, but that evidence is not complete. Okay. So, for example, validity of Dalton's atomic theory, right? Now, if we look at Dalton's atomic theory, at the end of the day, it is a theory. But where all can that theory be valid, right? So that will tell us, okay, this theory is valid in this aspect. But that theory is not a universal fact. It's not a fact until it is proven. Okay. So as long as something is not proven, it is only going to be a theory. It may be valid in certain cases, and but it is still at the end of the day a theory. It is not a fact. Okay. So now